Scripture reading this morning is short and to the point. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Life is marked by different seasons. Each has its purpose in time. Genesis 8:22. As long as the world exists, there will be time for planting, a time for harvest. There will also be cold and hot, summer and winter, day and night. Well, I guess that explains summer to us. Depending on where you live, a change in temperature usually means a change in season. And the season that is about ready to put on a wonderful show for us is fall. The trees will change into different varied colors. Crops are sown or harvested. Pumpkins and mums, especially if you go to Amish country, are everywhere. And the smell of burning leaves are the final touch to an autumn day. In Ecclesiastes 3:11, Solomon gives credit to God, saying he is the author of all seasons, from beginning to end. Does that mean that everything that happens at the time God chooses? Ecclesiastes 3:1 again, but this time to verse 8. And I'm sure that you'll all recognize everything that happens in this world is at the time God chooses. He sets the time for birth and the time for death, the time for planting and the time for pulling up, the time for killing and the time for healing, the time for tearing down and a time for building. He sets the time for sorrow and at the time for joy, the time for mourning and the time for dancing, the time for making love and the time for not making love, the time of kissing and time for not kissing. He sets the time for finding and the time for losing, the time for saving and the time for throwing away, the time for tearing and the time for mending, the time for silence and the time to talk. He sets the time for love and the time for hate, the time for war and the time for peace. That really says a lot in 8 short verses. Have you ever thought how the seasons have affected you or your life? What type of influence they have had on you? Well, maybe we should. Because our past seasons are what has made us today. We just didn't wake up one morning and say, okay, I'm going to be this for the rest of my life. Does not work. Just as the earth experiences different seasons for planting, growing, harvesting, and resting, our lives go through similar seasons of change and transfiguration. Each serves a unique purpose in our spiritual development. Let's look at the seasons in more detail. Spring, we look for it after a long winter, is a time of beginning, a time of growth, and a time of renewal. Basically, it's your childhood time. Summer should be a season of joy that encourages gratitude and appreciation of the abundance of our lives. Does that sound like any adolescent that you know or that you helped raise to become an adult? I know if I had the knowledge and the wisdom of what I just read, I would not have been in such a hurry to become an adult. Mary's given me a message. Thanks, Mary. Fall is a season of transition and preparation. That's adulthood. And winter is a season of rest, relaxation, and waiting. It teaches us the importance of waiting on the Lord's timing. That's the time of maturity, or better stated, old age. And as I look around, and including myself, that's where I am. That's where most of you are, with the exception of Miss Ellie and her mother that does everything, Joe, Brian, and Columbus. How can we navigate the seasons of our life in a way that honors and praises the Lord? By understanding the biblical meaning of seasons, we can find peace in knowing that God has plans which will unfold in perfect timing and purpose. Truthfully, we don't always just sit back and wait for that. We've got our own time schedule, our own purpose that we need to do that day. But I have a feeling that God's plan will unfold in perfect timing and purpose. So why sweat it? Just say, okay, Lord, it's up to you. Have you ever done that and been okay with that? No worrying, no stressing. We could learn from that. Romans 8:28. We know that God works for the good of those who love him. We can be assured then that God works all things together for our good, regardless of the season we find ourselves in. We may be in one season today, but tomorrow we could be in another season. A change in circumstance, or even getting older, can signal a change in seasons. We all have experienced difficult times. For example, the loss of a loved one. Definitely our church has gone through that this year. Our hearts are heavy. Joy seems to have disappeared. But sorrow doesn't last forever, thank the Lord. There'll be a time when joy returns. It may be in a memory, it may be in a story, it may be in a chuckle. The journeys of our lives have been a series of seasons that have purpose and lessons. Remember, God walks with us through every season, especially when our faith is being tested. This is a quiz. How many of you are in the season of spring? How many are in the season of adolescence? Which season are you, Ellie?
Probably still spring.
Hey. Summer. How many summers do we have? Fall?
Oh.
Okay. Forgive them, Lord, and help them to deal with the truth. You two young'uns, yeah. And the season of winter or adulthood. It's not so bad, we're still here. Yeah. Although, have you found the seasons of winter to be that relaxing, especially when we have a snowfall that needs shoveled out? Especially when this is the time for the furnace to quit working. Or in the summer, oh, I hope that air conditioning man gets here soon. It's hard to think that there are lessons in those type of seasonal experience. What's your favorite season? I heard fall. Is that everybody? Fall?
Yep.
It's me, fall.
Winter.
What do you like about winter, Allie?
I like that. I like the snow. I like that you can build snowmans, sledding, and snowboat fights, and especially hot chocolate in the winter.
There you go.
I'll have to agree with you there. With marshmallows.
Yeah.
So we're kind of at a stage where living in Ohio with the 4 seasons, which some states do not have the 4 seasons, I think that we have become accustomed to them. And we have become accustomed to certain things happening during each and every season. Whether we like it or not, it's going to roll around the calendar, and we find ourselves getting up tomorrow morning and saying, I can't believe this is September and fall is already here. What has happened this summer? What can we do in the seasons that do not affect us, but someone else? And we'll start with spring. Can you think of something that someone else could experience in spring? Come on, you grandmas and grandpas. How about birth? The birth of your first grandchild, you know? The birth of a new chicken. Flowers. Daffodils, crocuses. Sometimes when the going gets rough, I will sit there and just close my eyes and think about the flowers or the seed catalogs that just came. Because I've had it with winter and I'm ready for spring. Summer. What do you do to enjoy summer? What?
Take the house out of the heat.
Yeah. You know, I just had this conversation lately. What did we do before air conditioning? You know, I had a uncle that lived clear on the east side of Cleveland. And we would get all dressed up and our hair done, and we would take off, the windows would be down, we would get there, and we looked like orphans. Our hair was hanging, our clothes were wrinkled, because it had been a very hot and hectic ride. Come on, you guys are Wellington people. Adolescents. What about swimming at Finley State Park? In that mud. And we did it. That was the highlight of summer. Let's go to Finley swimming. Fall. What have you experienced in fall?
Raking leaves.
Raking leaves. My grandfather had a opinion on raking leaves, and it was, the Lord putteth and the Lord taketh away. In other words, the wind can blow to the neighbors. And then winter. What?
Sledding.
What?
Sledding.
Oh, yeah, sledding. That's a good one. It's just that when you are in that last group of seasons, climbing back up that hill, you're probably going to go down that hill one time. Because that hill isn't going to be climbed by you multiple times. These are the fun times. These are the times, we remember. But what about those seasons when it wasn't happiness and joy and fun? What is left of our family, which isn't much, because they all died right before a holiday? Has anybody else had that experience?
Yes.
Yeah, and especially with children, you know, Grandpa just died, and it's only a few days till Christmas. What do? You have Christmas for the children, and you get Grandma, and she stays with you and celebrates when she can. All of you have been through losing loved ones. And all of you, I'm sure, have used your faith to lean on to get through that experience. If we could pick, we wouldn't pick the season of losing a loved one. But we can't pick. God has a plan. It's even timed. We just need to sit back, relax, and enjoy this ride. But remember, we've always got somebody with us to keep our back.